Aamer Anwar. And first thing I'd like to say, the intention of the press conference today is a united front to call out the far right, but also to support Police Scotland in acting more robustly. The increase in these protests in recent months has left the police, as we understand, with an overtime bill of £1.1 million, with 3,000 days off cancelled for officers. We've seen officers attacked, and it's been stated that the demands are having a significant impact on officer welfare across the city. The actions of the far right have left sections of our community scared and at times fearful of going out. Since a rampage through Glasgow city centre several weeks ago, following the horrific Belfast stabbing, the knife attacks in Leith, Edinburgh, and the flash mobs in parts of Scotland, it's clear that the far right have played a central role in all of these situations. The online disinformation and now the all too frequent random attacks on people of colour on the streets of Glasgow have to stop. Vigilante patrols have taken place under the pretence of protecting women from sexual violence whilst targeting innocent people, and we have had mobs who have turned up outside hotels, parks and elsewhere, and we're very much now at a critical turning point. In terms of one of the individuals who've attacked, Jawad, who's sitting at the back, was one of those who's the delivery driver that was attacked with a traffic cone on that day, and there's other individuals, of course, that you'll have seen on social media that have been targeted. In Belfast, we had a mass mob that went door to door trying to burn families out of their homes because of the colour of their skin, whilst Leith saw horrific knife attacks. And as I said 2 Saturdays ago, the question for us as a community, people of colour, is why, because of the actions of one madman in Belfast, are we all being collectively held guilty? We are tired, we're exhausted, we're fed up, and at times we're scared, not just for us, but for our children, for our parents, for our community. And I wonder what would have happened if, in response to the knife rampage in Leith, Muslims or members of the non-white community had massed up, had organised pogroms against white community, had set fire to white people's homes with children running for their lives. Would there have been sympathy for their cause? Would the mob have been called campaigners with legitimate concerns, or would we be calling them exactly what they are, which is terrorists? We would be questioning their culture, we would be questioning their religion, we would be asking which one of their community leaders was responsible for radicalising them. I understand there's a lot of interest in Thomas Kerr, and I received an email from a member of the press last night saying that Thomas Kerr has criticised his lack of invite for reform to this press conference. I'm not sure which planet this man is on, and I don't intend to spend a long time on it, but let me be clear that those who attend far-right events, join in vigilante patrols, thrive off disinformation and hatred against immigrants will not be invited to a press conference such as this. I don't need to spell out the events of 2 Saturdays ago, the Unite the Clans protests, the Nazi salutes, the racist violence perpetrated by a masked mob of thugs trying to run riot through the city centre whilst also trying to march on Glasgow Central Mosque. Myself and a number of individuals have worked closely with Police Scotland's ACC Katrina Payton and ACC Alan Waddle, and they have engaged closely with the community as they've tried to navigate the difficult task of facilitating the right to peaceful protest whilst ensuring that public safety was paramount. It's clear, however, that a significant proportion of those at the Unite the Clans event in Glasgow were hell-bent on causing serious disorder. The police in meetings had made it clear that public order officers would be on standby. Significant resources were deployed, and under no circumstances would these groups ever be allowed to march on Glasgow Central Mosque as they had tried some weeks before. We appreciate that on the day, police officers were stretched. They were also deployed to the Commonwealth Games, and the tactics of the far right was to break out in all directions across the city. Ultimately, people should be aware, however, that many were kettled by public order officers, told to remove their masks, as many people have asked why were they allowed to have masks on, and the position as it is in Scotland, as it is in England, Wales and Northern Ireland, is that people can wear masks. There's no specific legislation that says that you must remove masks. However, on that day, with the implementation of the Public Order Act, individuals were kettled, they were told to remove their masks, they had to give their identity, and they were filmed by the police before they were allowed to leave. Whilst Police Scotland attempted to facilitate the right to protest, it was clear that many of those who were wearing masks, some of whom were pictured giving Nazi salutes, wanted to cause violence and did in fact go ahead and target innocent people in our city. Many of these groups feel that they can act with impunity. However, you're not welcome in our city and you're not welcome in Scotland. And those who committed criminal acts should know that they will be found. Whilst the likes of Reform whilst the likes of Reform may claim this is about legitimate concerns, or the press may call them anti-immigrant protesters, we would say that when you mask up, when you shout racist, sexist, anti-Semitic, homophobic abuse, give Nazi salutes, and attack police officers or people of colour, and subject women to horrific verbal abuse and threats of violence and rape, there is nothing legitimate about your actions. A number of organisations, including Suter, have collated evidence from pictures, videos and social media posts that will be submitted to Police Scotland, who have opened a portal along with a major investigations team that is carrying out inquiries and arrests. In discussions with ACC Payton this morning, Police Scotland made it clear public safety is paramount. Where criticism is valid, they know it will be made. They have our support to take robust action against the far right and to implement the use of the public order laws that exist. There is no requirement for any further laws. We have sufficient powers as it exists. But I would also call on Glasgow City Council, because a number of these vigilante patrols, which Reform have attended, a number of these vigilante patrols have actually nothing concrete to offer. They have been targeting innocent people because of the colour of their skin, but would call on Glasgow City Council to take urgent concrete action with measures in the city centre to protect women from sexual violence. Put simply, if you can spend £20 million on George Square, where is the lighting for alleyways in the city centre? Where is the free nighttime transport for women? Where is the deploying of night street wardens? Where are the gates in alleyways? Where are the street cameras for each city centre alleyway? Simple, concrete steps for starters to protect women that other cities have taken. It's unacceptable that on a weekly basis, women are being sexually assaulted and raped after a night out or returning home. And I have, before I run off the last conclusion and introduce the first speaker, I'd say this: there is a number of points that we put out to the press. Zero tolerance for racist protests, make the streets safe, ensure there's never a no-go zone for people of colour in our city or for women, for concrete action to protect women from sexual violence in the city centre and parks, no mass protesters allowed to intimidate members of the public, arrest those who commit criminal attacks, and also no tolerance of Nazi salutes. So the first